All right, we got metas kill games, and the finals could be next on the list. Oh boy.
All right, let's start by going back in time. The year is 2012, and me and my best friend just set up a LAN party to play the most underrated shooter of all time, Battlefield 4.
Ooh,
Our
nice.
objective for the night, to recreate this scene.
What? Was this like a commercial?
Yes, we actually did that. One guy sniped and another one spotted. Now let's skip to the
Nice.
present. I make a YouTube channel with my best friend, and I get to do LAN parties every single day.
Dang.
It's actually pretty awesome.
Bro, that's actually so cool. Like, I used to do like Halo LAN parties when I was like really young in like middle school. Like on the original Xbox, and goddamn, those were like those were so fun. Like, those are such good memories that I have like with that. But like, dude, to do that like nowadays, and to like carry like an expensive ass computer with monitors, and like you need the right desk, you need the right mouse pad, you need the right this, that, like, oh my god, I gotta unhook all my wires and all this and that. I gotta bring my peripherals over. It's like, it's just it sounds fun, but the logistics of it just seem, I don't know, annoying. But hey, if you like it, you like it. If you like it that much and you're willing to like dedicate all that time to it, I mean, that honestly sounds like really fun to do, like with all the boys just right there shoulder to shoulder.
You guys should definitely check us out and hit the sub and see what we're doing here. Jump on the no-fill train before we blow this thing up like we know we will.
I dig it.
Anyways, a new game is dropping. The excitement builds, but the pattern stops. You see, it's not Battlefield. It's
The finals.
fast, unique, fresh, but most importantly, fun. Breathing life into the stagnant FPS genre.
Yeah.
And this shouldn't surprise
Yeah, you were right on the stagnant part for sure, dude.
us. Because the same guys that are bringing you the finals brought you Battlefield. It is time. I can feel the old memories coming back and the new ones I'm going to make just like I did in 2012. But there's a problem. A very big problem.
What
and
that
it's
is.
something that so many
What that
developers
is.
seem to not care that much about. But it ruins games. And it might ruin this beautiful flower that's in front of us. It's called the meta.
Yeah.
And the finals has a big one.
What's the meta?
All right, here's my definition of meta. A weapon or strategy that is vastly superior to all other options. To not use said meta puts the player at a supreme disadvantage.
Oh, that's fair.
You know, there's a lot of people that are going to have mixed opinions about the meta.
Yeah, but I mean, you pretty much nailed it, like, for the most part. I'm sure there's like a couple outlier, like, little add-ons that you could add to that, but I think for the most part, you got it.
So before we really can begin, I need to get all the people that don't mind the meta out of the dark and bring them over to the light. To do that, first we're going to start with an old nightmare you most likely have, so I apologize, but it's necessary. So I hope you're ready. Roll the clip.
Okay, Warzone. Well, the meta for Warzone was honestly just download some cheats and go to town. That was the meta.
DMR Zone. This ruined an amazing game. I played for about 2 days. I know there are some people out there that did it longer. I tip my cap to you. I still don't understand how the COD developers let this go on for as long as they did, but they're paying for it now because this was 3 years ago, and ever since then, we've seen the steady decline of Warzone.
Bro, like, come on. Like, the meta was just a single variable that contributed to this decline. There are numerous other bullet points that you could add to the myriad of reasons that Warzone is just stupid.
Next, we can look at Overwatch last year with Roadhog. He had a hook and a chain more deadly than the fucking God of Wars. A hitbox so big, range so long, that the opposing player could be drunk, high, and asleep, and you knew he was still gonna hook you, Put that sweet shotgun in your mouth.
Was the projectile growth on the hook like that big? Like whenever you like threw that shit out there, um, did you really not have to be like that accurate?
And before you even died, you had the game uninstalled. And when you know, Overwatch is dying.
Yeah.
And the list doesn't end. AWP in Counter-Strike, Ash and Jaeger in Siege.
Wait.
And the list doesn't end. AWP in Counter-Strike.
Bro, the op is like, it's like the gun. You know, the meta for what is it? Counter-Strike is to have like your pistol rounds or your econ rounds, and then you got 4 riflers and then your op guy. And if you can kill the op guy, then it's just like rifles v rifles or whatever. And then the whole reason like this is balanced is because you have like the high price that it costs just to get one.
Ash and Jaeger in Siege.
Okay, I don't know anything about Siege.
Peacemaker in Apex.
Well, yeah. When is this? What season is this? Can I tell? I mean, this is before when they had that like that little extra piece down here for what is it? Disruptor rounds just came on the PK. This is probably, when was this? 2 weeks ago. Yeah, the shotgun meta was only good because Gibby was good. Once Gibby got pushed out of the meta, the shotguns became bad.
The Rivers of Blood corpse pilers spam in Elden Ring.
Okay.
The Hail Mary in Madden. The double pump from Fortnite. Okay, that one was actually kind of electric. We're going to let that one slide. But the point is, metas kill games.
I mean, metas are, I'm just going to, again, metas are a piece of the contributing factor that leads to a game's downfall. I mean, yes, metas exist, but it's up to you, the player, to choose whether or not you want to use them. Now, obviously, if you're going to go, it's going to be like really different playing like a PvP game versus a PvE game. Yes, like you can have like a meta in PvE, but it's like what do you, unless you're doing like speed runs, and even then you can have like different styles of speed runs. Like nobody cares about like what the meta, the good sword is, the good weapon is, the good armor is. It's like it is whatever. I mean, I remember like spending so many like hours in the Borderlands games trying to just collect every single gun, every single relic, every single like little I don't know, what do you call that little thing that gave you all the skills, that thing. I remember trying to collect every item and to make every gun like at least like do some respectable damage, because that was just like one thing that was really cool that you could do in Borderlands. But you know, obviously the meta thing in Borderlands, or at least Borderlands 2, was to just pick a Gunzerker, have a double penetrating Chemterrel, and was that Moxie slag gun that you could, whenever damage you did, it healed you and it slagged enemies. Yeah, that was the meta, but eventually the meta gets boring in that. But then conversely, in PvP games and also in sports, you have to think about like soccer, baseball, basketball, golf. There's obviously going to be metas there, and those sports haven't really changed since their inception. I mean, yes, like there have been like quite a bit of rule changes, in each respective sport, but for the most part, the meta is like it is what it is. In football, you can on the first down, you could try to throw it. There's like a percent chance that the team is gonna throw it, or if they don't get it, then they're gonna run it the next couple, and if they don't get a first down, they gotta punt it away. That's the meta. Surprise. In golf, like what's the meta in golf? Put the ball on the green in as few shots as humanly possible. The thing with like video games is that kids don't like when a meta is like in place because it feels boring. But I think with a lot of like sports, you're dealing with like older people, like maybe mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, and plus that the metas can be defined in each respective sport and they just don't give a shit because you still have to perform. You still have to perform the action. Like little kids, or not little kids, but like kids, because video games are mostly marketed to little kids. Kids don't like when a meta is defined because it's like, oh, the game's figured out. Just I have to get this gun, I have to get that gun, and then they just get bored of the game really quickly.
And even if it doesn't kill the game, it brings down all the creativity and life that the game once had and the way the developers initially intended the game to be played. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, right now, the heavy class in the finals is falling into that same trap.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Explosives. Lewis gun. C4. Is that your starter LMG?
I really wish I could start this section and say the one thing that they need to change or the 3 things that they need to fix with this meta.
Well, I think there has been a
I
patch
have
kind of
5.
recently.
And the kicker is this one's even unique compared to other metas, and we're going to get into that at number 5.
All right.
Coming in at number 1, it's the tacticals and gear. You see, finals is built on the destruction element of the game, and that's why it's seeing so much success. So they are off to a really good start, but we start to see a problem when we look at the medium class in the game.
I think the destruction is one aspect that is very successful about the game, but just the fact that it's just a very different objective style game. It's not TDM, it's not capture the flag, it's not do the objective like in CS and Counter or in Val. Well, it is like a do the objective thing, but not like plant the bomb. It's like plant the bomb. It's like a 3-player plant the bomb, but if you're lucky and your team survives, you can respawn. More or less. And you have all these like physics based like items that you can use along with it. So, and the movement is really cool. There's aim smoothing in the game. That got figured out. That's really cool, I think. So, yeah, there's a bunch of new things, or not new, but like all of these things have been existent in FPSs, but for a game to make certain things at the forefront of a game and to do it in a really unique way, I think is really cool.
Right now, they have 0 ways to inflict destruction on the map. Then when we look at the heavy class, it has 3. The RPG, the C4, and its rush charge.
Yeah.
So when you build a game that's centered around destruction and one of your classes has 0 and one has 3, you're really setting up a supreme disadvantage.
I mean, but what are they doing to balance that? The medium class has a zip line and a jump pad. They got vertical mobility. They contribute to the team. The heavy can't do any of that. And then you look at the light class. The light class can go invis. The light class can has a little bit of like vertical mobility with the dashes and whatnot. But I would argue the dashes are even more broken in an FPS.
For one of the classes. Next, when we're looking at abilities, I'm not going to get into all of them. That would take too long.
That's fair.
The heavy class has 3 different abilities. All are viable. And I would argue the goo gun.
So if they're all viable, then what's the meta?
And their shield are the 2 best in the entire game.
Yeah.
Number 2, their health pool. For the Overwatch players,
massive.
Let me ask you a question. Imagine you were any DPS of your choice, locked into a small room with one of the tanks. How would you like your chances? Probably not very good. The health pool is just way too drastic, and if the heavy gets 1 or 2 lucky shots, it's most likely it for you. Well, the finals, it's really not much different. The light and the heavy at 150 health points to 350, that's 2.5 times bigger for the heavy. This might work for Overwatch and the way the game was designed, but when
Mm-hmm.
you're playing a game with only 3 players on the team, I really don't think this is the way to go. Number 3 is movement.
Huh. So the health pools and the amount of destruction that like the health pool like disparity between heavy and light, the fact that a lot of their abilities are viable, and the fact that they got 3 things that they can use to, I don't know, destroy buildings and whatnot. Um, uh, I don't know. The game. I don't know. It kind of like anytime I boot up like any player that's like a top tier player, like it's like, oh, there's a really good light player, there's a really good medium player, there's a really good heavy player. Like I could boot up 2 different heavy players and they're both using like different things, but they're both like top players. So I don't know. Maybe there's like a little bit more nuance to it than what I'm seeing.
Movement is very important in any FPS shooter you're going to play, but it might
Yeah.
be especially true in the finals based on just the way the game plays and the destruction and the verticality. So we're going to look at a side-by-side of a light and a heavy running. My first thoughts watching this is, yes, of course, the light is faster, but is it really enough? And that doesn't even include the fact that the heavy class has the rush charge, which I mentioned before, that pretty much makes up for any speed
Mm-hmm.
discrepancy they might have. Number 4 is weapon.
Okay, so the light was moving a little bit faster, but you didn't think it was fast enough. Um, I don't know. You were just like examining like run speed or sprint speed or whatever. I think you could also make an argument that there's different types of movement, and that was just like running sprint speed. You could also probably make some sort of argument that you could probably add like certain strafe speeds to different guns to like maybe find a little bit better of a balance per se. But I don't know. That's just like a, I don't know, temporary like balance or a fix. Or I know because anytime you increase the strafe speed to like a gun that like people are gonna notice real quick. It's like, oh my god, I can move and like dodge bullets and shit. It's like, oh, this gun's the overpowered gun. You get like max strafe speed. Look at the wingman in Apex. That thing has gone through so many nerfs and it's still like a really good gun.
Traditionally, in most shooters, the bigger weapons with a lot of rate of fire and a big magazine size are going to have a slightly lower damage
Mhm.
to kind of compensate the two.
Yeah.
In the finals, this isn't what we're seeing. The heavy class has all these big weapons with the big rate of fire and the magazine size, but their damage per second is kind of sitting right around where the other guns are as well. And then they have 3 different weapons, again, like their abilities that are completely viable with the sledgehammer, which is going to work in all the close buildings you're going to fight in,
Mhm.
the flamethrower, which is just insane, and then the light machine gun. And compared to the medium class, that I would argue only has 1 viable weapon.
Oh.
This is giving the heavy class versatility and options that are going to make them so much more flexible compared to the other classes. And number 5.
Ooh, so the heavy class. So the heavy class is also more flexible than the medium. I think that's pretty true. With the medium, like anytime you choose like a medium class, you're more or less expected to always be running the defibs, and then at least some sort of movement in either the jump pad or the zip, and then your last slot or two, that's gonna be like your flexible spot. Like choose whatever you want to fit your team's play style, more or less.
It's just too damn easy. I'm gonna flash a conversation I had with one of my team members here at the channel that might give you guys a little more context before we jump into this. I doubt they will do anything about the heavy class because of a point I read. This guy was claiming that the skill floor in the game is so low because of the no aim assist that
Okay, this guy was claiming that the skill floor, all right, the barrier to entry is so low. Usually that's because when you have like a low skill floor, like I would imagine he's trying to do the easy to learn, hard to master type route. Um, but whenever you have like guns and abilities and health pools that are just so meta defining, then it can seem a little overbearing when you start to like climb the ranks. So I mean, I get it. Oh, and I don't even know how the aim assist works in this game. I know there's like snap aim assist, and that's about it.
they will keep things like this so the casual player can still get some kills. To paraphrase, the game is less hard, so they made a easy player to use that is going to work really well. And I do understand where they're coming from. They don't
Hmm.
want to see their game die. And it's not unprecedented. We've seen that happen with Fortnite, right? Fortnite got such a massive skill gap that eventually a lot of the lower skill players started to stop playing the game.
Yeah.
But I would argue they face a different risk because right now the meta is so bad that it could ruin the game. So I would encourage them to look at a game like Rainbow Six Siege and get some hope from that. You see, Rainbow Six Siege is a game that is incredibly difficult and demanding, and it came out 10 years ago and
Dang.
still has a really awesome competitive scene. And
Yeah, but the thing with like, so I haven't played like any R6 Siege, um, but I've seen like how many characters there are with all the not necessarily abilities, just more like tactical things that each character can do and whatnot, loadouts. Um, how would you balance that in the finals when there's only three characters? And like, is it gonna be like are we gonna like start making characters that like stakes? Like this is the rare, medium, well, and just put that in like weight categories. Um, like you'd have to introduce like two new characters and give them like brand new like loadouts and things to pick from. Um, I am curious to see like what the finals is gonna do in terms of like gameplay additions, like additional gameplay changes and content, how they're gonna make like new modes or like maybe tweak the ranked and all that jazz to try to figure out like how are you gonna add like more depth to the gameplay without having the eventual skill creep or power creep of the game, go into effect like every game does. But yeah.
a lot of players that really love the game. So the finals should stick to how they built the game and trust that fans like me and fans like you are going to love what they made. And they're in between a rock and a hard place right
Yeah.
now. I get it. But they need to
Yeah, but right now they're getting bombarded by cheaters and shit.
decide how they want to play this meta. They might be comfortable with the decision they've made, but I really hope they understand that metas kill video games and their game might be next on the list.
Possibly.
All right, that's it for me today. This was Logistical Rick, one of the many members at No Phil. So if you like what our channel's doing, really this video isn't actually what we do at all often. We're usually doing some crazy gameplays with all of us in the house. And
Yeah, but I like the style of video though. This is I like the actual conversation pieces, like type of videos where it opens it up to have a conversation and to try to figure out not necessarily like what people think should go on in a game is cool, but why a thing should happen in a game is equally, if not more important to a conversation, to what should happen to a game.
a lot of energy, a lot of calm. So I really encourage you to subscribe. And like I said before, get on the No Phil.
Bro, I will never get over that. Like, whenever the video says subscribe or smash like, it does the thing. It lights up, and God, bro, I don't know if I'll ever get used to that.
Chain before we really blow this thing up. So thanks for watching. Definitely hit the sub button, and if you want to see more of our content, you can click right here.
Nice. Yeah, I liked it, man. As far as like metas go, when you say things like metas kill video games, you're kind of leaning on the upper echelon of players. Like if you think about like your standard bell curve where 90% of the players in the middle and then you got like 5 and 5 on each respective side, then you're starting to lean into like the top, I don't know, like let's say 30, 20, 10% of players and the issues that are happening on one side. I mean, you can't, maybe they could implement something that, what do you call it? I remember like, what was it, old Black Ops, like Black Ops 2? A thing they did when they had their rank system, you have like your big sheet of like grenades, attachments, tacticals in like your normal list. But then when you go into like the ranked mode, there were certain items that just had like an X on it because it was like the gentleman's agreement or something like that. or not the gentleman's agreement, but just like if you want to do ranked, you can't use this item type of deal. You know, like make it like Super Smash Brothers, where like you figure out the most balanced like item loadout that everybody can kind of agree on, and you just make it like a playlist. Like, oh, I want to do the rank mode. Well, you have like another pop-up screen where it's like these are all the things that you can't choose from, and you just make it so that whenever the player chooses that class, there's just an X on that thing, and you can't choose it. Or if you're gonna do like a tournament, well, just make it so you like Super Smash Brothers with like item choices. You can turn items on or off or whatever. I mean, that could be one fix, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Finals is still popping off. I know they got like some issues going on right now with like cheaters and whatnot, but whatever. It's still a fun game for sure. But yeah, I like the video. I want to see more. That's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.